There are very few games in which developers can be so highly praised and completely eviscerated by its fans over one single game. Mass Effect 3 is exactly that, a game that will either be loved or hated, with very little room in between for the varying degrees of emotion. Just think of it like how much I hate a goddamn YouTube owner and tell him to go fuck himself. Now, like a number of games in this series so far, I have to talk in detail about the two components of the game: campaign and co-op. Co-op alone, I can sit here and discuss for hours, and that would really mimic the amount of time that I sank into the shit. Believe it or not, this is my most played game online, without a doubt. Just my manifest alone over at the BioWare site, I put in over 1,000 hours of playtime in the recorded data. I don't even know what I lost when I played this motherfucker, so I'm gonna guess that in total, my playtime is around 1,500 hours, which completely eclipses any other game out there. Now, I don't have this many hours in any Call of Duty game. Shit, you can combine all the Call of Duty games together, and that still falls short of Mass Effect 3. Resistance 2 is probably one of the closest games in terms of playtime as well, but even then, I know for certain I didn't play that as much nearly as I did at this game. Now, there are a number of reasons for that, but I'm going to discuss those later in the video, because to start, I have to jump into the campaign. For a few years, BioWare was promising their fans that Mass Effect 3 was going to be the culmination of Commander Shepard's story and his fight against the Reapers, and everything would tie together all at the end. All the decisions you made over the years, all the little details and the side stories that the game introduced would be taken care of, and all the loose ends would be tied up. This was the finale of everything promised to us, and depending on which fan you talk to, you're bound to get a bunch of different answers and emotions towards BioWare's promises. The game itself went into full third-person shooter mode. The mechanics were once again tweaked into making this a shooter game above all else. And it really does feel like a quality third-person shooter game with some extra powers and all this other shit mixed in. You know, transitioning from cover to cover, taking out enemies with the ability to dodge and roll more fluidly, to the incredible arsenal of weapons that we were given this time around. This is a shooting game, there's no question about it. And much like I said in yesterday's video, it sort of blurs the line a bit between action and role-playing games. And as most fans will not, the RPG elements of this game are all but eliminated. All of our heavy decisions were already made in the prior games. All the potential outcomes and choices we made are being resolved here. And the choices we make in this game are pretty shallow compared to all the prior two games. There really wasn't a reason for too many RPG elements in this game, because after 2 games of setting up the fight for the Reapers, now we actually have to battle the motherfuckers. And right off the bat in the story, you're fighting the Reapers. For 2 games, we knew they were coming, and we fought off elements that led to the Reapers, but at the same time, we were taking on menial battles in prior games. Oh, fight the Eclipse to get a little more Element Zero. Head to this planet to stop a Geth invasion. The Krogan clan wants to get their hands on rare materials. All this low-level shit was meaningless in this game. Nobody gave a fuck about Krogan stealing some plane parts or whatever the fuck. Now, it's all about that action, boss. We're fighting Reapers this game for our own fucking survival. And now, people finally believe Shepard that the Reapers are fucking real. Shit, all it took was for one Reaper to arrive on Earth for people to now know this shit is getting real. And now you motherfuckers want to believe Commander Shepard. So from the very beginning of the game, the scale changed from getting species together in the first 2 games to now fighting the actual war. Now, unfortunately, Shepard doesn't actually fight this war. No. The motherfucker turns into Frodo fucking Baggins from Lord of the Rings. Instead of having the baddest motherfucker in the galaxy fight the Reapers, he's sent off to find out this mysterious weapon that should be strong enough to kill the Reapers. Much like Frodo, he's gonna go throw a ring inside a volcano while the rest of the world fights off the fucking monsters. Motherfucker, I hated Lord of the Rings too. Oh god, those movies were so terrible. Now I'm reliving this shit in this game. But anyway, Shepard is now going to do favors across the galaxy to make sure that everyone fights together. The Turians will only help if the Krogans help them. The Krogans will only help if the Solarians help them. The Solarians will only help if you don't help the Krogans. The Asari don't want to help because that means they have to give up all their secrets they harnessed with Protean technology all these years, and they didn't share because they're a bunch of greedy bitches. Batarians aren't going to help because they're fucking ugly and their species would all be wiped out at this point. The Quarians are willing to help, but only if you do something about the Geth. So everybody fucking wants something from Commander Shepard, and they all want him to save their ass from extinction. Nice. Good to know that when people are facing their death, they're finally willing to help a motherfucker. All it takes is him saving their dumbasses from their own extinction. Now, there are plenty of plot twists in between and little nuances in the stories up in this motherfucker. And because Mass Effect is such a grand story, it's impossible to cover every little detail. Now, over the course of the 3 games, you made decisions that were essentially going to help or harm you. Well, that was the spiel that BioWare gave us, and this is where people got pissed off. Mass Effect is an amazing story, start to finish, from game 1 all the way to game 3. We had to make a number of decisions in the game, and all those decisions were supposed to have an impact on the finale of the game. The problem was, those decisions were rendered meaningless, utterly fucking meaningless. At the end of the game, the galaxy built the fucking Crucible meant to destroy the Reapers, and inside the Crucible, you're given 3 choices. Destroy the Reapers, control them, or synthesize all life forms into some sort of mechanical hybrid or whatever the fuck. Every single decision you made in the result of 3 fucking games leads to just these options: red, blue, or green. Are you fucking kidding me, man? Without question, Mass Effect is one of the best space-age storyline games you're gonna find, and you're promised that all your decisions will have an impact on the end of the game. And when all of that shit had no impact, you can see why people were so pissed the fuck off. They deserve to be pissed off because this was a horrible way to end the game. You don't just give us 3 meaningless choices. What purpose did sacrificing Kading or Ashley have? What reason did keeping Rex alive at the end of Vermeer have on the game? Why would people like Katsumi or Zaid stay alive at the end of the game when they had absolutely no bearing on what happens in the Crucible? You were given the 3 options to save the galaxy. All you needed to do was just pick one. Now, after the fans revolted, and rightfully so, BioWare released an extended ending to the game. The ending was designed to tell you what happened to the characters after the events of the end. It also added some extra dialogue before the ending, explaining the choices that made no sense in the original ending. But the crux of the problem remained. None of the decisions you made in the game actually mattered. In Mass Effect 3, they rolled out a system called War Assets. Basically, every decision you made gave you points towards the outcome of the game. You needed enough War Assets at the end of the game to get the better ending or whatever the fuck. So when you save Rex, those counted towards those War Asset points. When you get the Turians and the Krogans to help, those are more War Assets. When you do all that optional shit in the game and you gather more alien help, all those points add up. So your decisions are being added to a math equation, and once you reach the peak of that math equation, you earn the best ending. If you don't earn enough points, you can still earn a pretty decent ending, but ideally, you want to amass as many points as possible. And here's the real kick in the balls. Your online progress in the co-op portion also counts. Based on how many times you promoted your character, you will receive points towards your campaign progress. In the case of someone like me, who promoted non-stop and played the campaign for a few months after the game rolled out, I had all the points I needed just from co-op. So when I finally decided to do the campaign, I didn't need to collect shit. I was fucking master of the universe up in this motherfucker from all the hours I sank into the co-op section of the game. Needless to say, the point system and minimal effects of your decisions pissed off many fans, and rightfully so. We expected the game to really give us that amazing ending that showed every choice we made had a consequence, but the reality was everything was just an accumulation of points. Sure, saving Mordin allowed him to cure the genophage and give us Krogan assets. Sure, saving Garrus gave us a chance of securing Turian assets, but the fact that you didn't need any of that shit really made the prior choices in the games meaningless. Now, the one other branching out factor this time around was the romance section. Again, you get to screw whoever the fuck you want, and this time they threw in some gay and lesbian options, as well as some potential love triangles and whatnot. Personally, I think I fucked every chick on the ship at some point. No, really. Between Miranda, Liara, Kelly, Diana Allers, Ashley, I was a damn pimp, man. Shit, if I'm gonna save the galaxy, they might as well let me tap every ass possible. Oh, and speaking of Ashley, did she get some plastic surgery done? Take a look at her from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 3. She went from a normal-looking woman to a porn star who had massive work done. I mean, the best example I can think of is Angelina Valentine. Yes, motherfuckers, I know who she is. But look at her before she had all the surgery and all the work done compared to now, and tell me that's not the best example of a woman fucking up her face with a shitload of surgery, and compare that to Ashley. I don't know what BioWare did, but they fucked this woman up badly. She went from looking like a normal woman with relatively soft facial features to a chick with plumped up lips and chiseled cheekbones with mascara covered eyelashes. Come on, man. You went from a normal looking woman to someone waiting for the money shot. Now, before I move on to multiplayer, which obviously I'm going to spend hours on talking, I do have to yell at BioWare and EA over one last thing. First day DLC. This is the kind of shit that pisses me the fuck off. Developers release a game, and then on the first day of release, a DLC pack is available to buy as well. As most people will say, why the fuck was it not on the disc or in the game in the first place? Why the fuck am I buying extra content on day one? BioWare, along with every other studio who has done this, gave the same shitty excuse. It wasn't ready. So let me get this bullshit straight. You made a game over X amount of years, put put all of that shit on the disc, and then managed to make just one more mission that couldn't fit on the fucking disc? And then you have the nerve to sell us that on day one? You know, if it wasn't ready for release on the disc, why not just give it to people for free as DLC? Why not be a first day DLC for anybody who pre-orders the game so that people aren't spending extra money on this bullshit, man? Get the fuck out of here with this crap. On top of that, that DLC pack was something that should have been in the game in the first place. They gave us Javik, a fucking Prothean character for the game. Here we are, fighting a war 50,000 years later after his species was eradicated. Most of our technologies and ideas we learned came from them, and you didn't think this was good enough for the final release of the goddamn game? This isn't Joe Schmo the garbage man joining my team, motherfucker. This isn't Zaid or Katsumi that have no general importance or impact on the game. This is an extinct species that gave insight on the war and how it all started. Now granted, Javik being in the game doesn't change the story one fucking iota, but if you're telling us there's a Prothean in the game and we gathered all our knowledge in the game because of him, it stands to reason that this is a pretty good character to have on the fucking disc. Holy shit, man. I don't have any issues with the future DLC packs that we had to pay for in the campaign, because none of that shit was necessary to beat the game. Between Leviathan, Omega, the Citadel DLC, all of that shit just added backstory to the lore and whatnot. But the Javik DLC was fucking criminal. And you know EA was behind all that shit. That has their signature written all over that joint. But in any event, the key piece of this game that kept me coming back for so long was the multiplayer. Now, I don't know how to explain this crack, but holy fuck, this shit was addicting. And I have to be honest though, there is absolutely nothing new about their online portion of the game. Nothing. It's the same shit over and over and over again. 11 waves against increasingly difficult enemies. There's absolutely nothing new in that regard. However, what made this game so amazing is how well they put it all together. You don't have to be the inventor of the wheel to be successful. You just have to know how to make the best wheel possible. And that's what Mass Effect did. It has its flaws. Oh, does this motherfucker have flaws? But the addicting portion of the game is hard to overlook. Initially, the game offered 6 campaign classes to choose from and 4 characters per class. It's really 3 classes because the base humans were identical, you know, just male and female, shit like that. It gives you the chance for the first time in the game to use alien races that you couldn't use before, so you got to be a Krogan, a Jarell, a Turian, or whatever the fuck. We got 6 maps, 3 different enemy classes to fight, and each enemy has differences in how they fought you. Each character you had fought differently and had their own strengths and weaknesses, and you had to choose how you wanted to rank up your character. The characters didn't come with a maximum number of points where you could just pick and choose every single power, unless you did that glitch that gave you every fucking thing. Basically, you had to strategize and how you wanted certain characters to play up in this motherfucker. You also got 3 difficulty levels, played 10 waves against enemies plus the 2-minute extraction, and waves 3, 6, and 10, you had to complete an objective. At the end of the match, you won money, XP, you can rank up your character, buy shit from the random fucking store, which of course I have to detail one last time. And then you do it all over again for countless hours to rank up and beat up more shit. Now, along the way, BioWare supported this game pretty much every single day and week. They had bi-weekly events at first, which of course the PlayStation 3 didn't get initially, but eventually we got the motherfucker. They rolled out rewards for completing the bi-weekly challenges, which were 5 ultra-rare weapons that you couldn't get anywhere else in the game at the time. Each week, they rebalanced the game by nerfing weapons, buffing enemies, and overall, changing the recipe of the game to try things out. But the best moves of all were the 5 free DLC packs. Oh man, those words make my heart melt. 5 different DLC packs spanning almost a full year that gave us new characters, new weapons, new maps, new objectives, new enemies in the collectors, a challenge system to show how much you play this motherfucker, a new difficulty setting in Platinum, and a change to weekly events to reward you with more goodies much quicker. There is no game in my personal collection that supported their fan base more than this game. Absolutely none. I don't give a fuck what you thought about their weekly balance changes. I don't care what you think about the annoying fucking story that trolled the shit out of people, or even the fucked up results of adding the collectors. There is no game that supported their fan base more than this game for 1 full year after the game's life cycle, while keeping the content free. It's a huge reason I kept coming back to this, to the tune of over 1,000 known hours played on this bitch. Yes, the shit was monotonous and beating up 4 alien types all the goddamn time, but with 50 plus characters you can use and 50 plus weapons, there were countless ways you could play this game. And that was the addicting part. How many different characters or guns or setups can I use to beat the enemies? What seemed like such a simple and basic game, 11 waves of enemies, turned into countless hours of what can I do in this round differently. The challenge system that released 7 months later kept people coming back. That dangling carrot of completing your manifest kept people coming back. The idea to get every single banner in the game kept people coming back over and over and over again. BioWare figured out how to put crack in a console to get people to keep coming back. Or a PC platform for those motherfuckers that want to say that. However, that doesn't mean this game wasn't without flaws. Like every other fucking game on my list, there were flaws up in this motherfucker. For starters, the loading screens were horrible. Holy fucking shit. Just to party with someone, you would send them an invite, and the game would bring you all the way back out to the loading screen at the beginning of the game. Then you'd have to go through 2 more loading screens until you finally got into a party. Call of Duty was instant. Press join, and you join a motherfucker. Here, you wasted a good 2 to 3 minutes loading into multiplayer, 2 to 3 minutes before getting into a party, 2 to 3 minutes loading into a room, and before you know it, 10 minutes have passed before you actually played the fucking game. Then on top of that, stability in the rooms was a pain in the ass. People were constantly dropped from rooms. I mean, constantly. Whether the game crapped out, you lost connection, or even worse, hard freeze of your console. Now, earlier in the video, I said that I probably had about 1,500 hours in the game, and that number is probably accurate. My manifest over at the BioWare site says that I have over 1,000 hours, but when you combine all the loading screens, all the times the game crapped me out and didn't count towards my stats, and the number of times that I did the campaign, yeah, I exceeded 1,500 hours on this game. It's crazy to think about now as flawed as this game was, but the fun factor was undeniable. Even with the DLC collector pack on PlayStation 3, I tolerated this game. Anyone who played the collector on PlayStation 3 knows there was a very high chance your console was going to hard freeze on this game. Anyone knows that if you didn't freeze after playing the collectors, there was still a chance your game was going to be pretty fucked up afterwards. Holy shit, that DLC was one gigantic clusterfuck of a mess for the consoles. I have no clue why the collectors were less points than any other enemies, and considering they were actually made one of the hardest, I really have no idea what the fuck just went wrong with that DLC pack. But in any event, I can go on detail about some of the other shit that BioWare got wrong, but I just don't have time to rant about every single thing all over again, especially since I did videos on this shit. Things like the rocket glitch that still exists to this day. 6 fucking patches, and they never fixed that shit. We still have power glitches, no more power balances for the final characters, some guns still outperform others that was supposed to be a higher rank, the copy and paste powers in some of the DLC characters, no extra Solarians ever added in the DLC. There are countless small items to detail that I talked about in my videos that I'm just not going to go through now because I don't have the time. But the one last detail was the store and the gun rate drops. Holy fucking shit. You guys saw the videos. You saw how irritating it was for me to save up all my credits you earned in the game only for the store to constantly give you shit that you didn't want or that you didn't need. You know, part of the reason so many people played this game for hours was despite the store. The store was totally fucking random. You have no control over what you would get out of it, and you needed to put in a massive amount of hours to complete your entire manifest. The main issue was the drop rate of the ultra rare guns. The game had a different level of guns from common all the way up to ultra rare, and getting those ultra rare guns was the biggest bitch in the game. The fucked up thing is that they weren't even the best guns in the game. Most are pretty damn good, don't get me wrong, but a few of the ultra rares were actually pretty shitty. The Crusader shotgun alone has to be the worst fucking gun in the goddamn game, but the amount of time it took to unlock an ultra rare was ridiculous. As much as I bitched about it, I actually had a pretty decent drop rate for the guns compared to everyone else. I would get about 1 ultra rare per 1 million credits spent. Sometimes I do a little bit better than that, but let's just say 1 million credits. To accumulate that much money, you would need to play 12 games of gold or 7 games of platinum. Each game lasts 20 to 30 minutes depending on the game, your party objectives, and the time spent in the loading screens and the lobbies. So the best case scenario, 7 platinum games of 30 minutes apiece, which is actually pretty quick. You're looking at about 3.5 hours of gaming time. But that's the best case scenario and a really quick turnaround time. The average was mainly gold games with less money for about 25 minutes or so, and you're looking at about 5 hours apiece. That's just for a chance to get 1 ultra rare. You're not even guaranteed at all. You could still spend $1 million and not get shit. Now with 21 ultra rare guns needed, each with 10 upgrades, that's 210 ultra rare cards you need to get. That's 210 million credits just to be on par with the average ultra rare drop rate. If you were going to attempt that on just gold alone, not even platinum, just gold games, that's over 2,500 games you would need to play. But keep in mind, people started off slow. You started in bronze and worked your way up to silver and whatnot. You didn't just jump into the butt section. No. You needed to ease your way into that joint. You also have the other thousands of cars that you could fucking get in this goddamn game, like characters, regular guns, weapon mods, supplies, and gear. The amount of shit to collect in this game is staggering, and if you didn't get in on it from the very beginning in the game, you were constantly behind the 8 ball. Those of us who got in from the start, we had to fight the store non-stop, but there was less shit to get when the game came out. By the time the 5 DLC packs came out, we doubled and tripled the amount of inventory. We started with 24 characters. We got 41 more in DLC packs for a total of 65 characters. We started with 7 ultra rare guns and finished with 21. So every time a new DLC pack rolled out, that meant more shit you were gonna have to earn. I was lucky. I got my manifest completed by the 3rd DLC, and after that, it was just maintenance. But people who didn't get their shit early were there for months trying to complete it. And of course, EA rolled out that little nugget of help with microtransactions. For the low, low price of $3, you can buy a random pack from the store with real money. Yes, buy the random pack from the store with actual cash. And people stupidly did this. I remember on the BioWare forum, some dumbass mentioned they spent $700, $800, $1,200 on the store just to unlock shit. Seriously, you're buying random shit for a fucking video game. Granted, idiots like this were the people that helped funded all the free DLC. But it was so fucking stupid for people to do this, man. That store and how fucked up it was gave people a reason to cheese Firebase White and Rocket Glitch. This game was so easy to beat once you got the hang of it, but the speed of doing an 8-minute Rocket Glitch for money as opposed to 25 minutes of playing was a no-brainer. The ease of sitting behind the counter on Firebase White while enemies filtered in all game long made the shit simple for people who just wanted credits. The store was screwing people over, so why not screw the store over itself? By the end of its life cycle, when BioWare stopped supporting the game after a year later, about 15 months in total, so let's give them that, they didn't even increase the ultra rare drop rate at all. Not even a cunt hair's worth. Makes no damn sense. Why not just increase the drop rate if you're no longer going to support the game? I know EA's not that hard up for $3 a pack for fucking idiots, but come on, man. I was determined to get all the good shit from the store, and it was not going to force me away. I mean, the good thing is that I actually like this fucking game, but oh man, this game saved me hours of headaches from playing Modern Warfare 3, so I didn't have to feel the need to go back to that motherfucker, and gave me something to play when everyone else was playing Black Ops 2, so it couldn't have released at a more perfect time for me. This was the game that really got me out of playing Call of Duty. The year that I didn't play World at War, I had Resistance 2, and that kept me busy until Modern Warfare 2 came out. The year that Black Ops 1 came out, I had a couple of games, but none of them were really long-played games. Most would last a month, and then I was on to something else. So when Modern Warfare 3 sucked more ass than Richard Simmons at a fart tasting contest, and I had already mentioned that I was skipping Black Ops 2 because I was tired of Treyarch's bullshit, I had this game to span me 2 separate Call of Duty games. I don't praise games lightly, but this game was a superior option to those 2 in terms of fun. Now, although this game isn't perfect, it's far from perfect, it didn't need to be perfect to be fun. Other than the lore that BioWare created with their characters in the Mass Effect 3 universe, there is nothing in the online gameplay elements that hasn't been done before. But when you combine Mass Effect's world with waves of enemies, you get hours of fun. Being my most played game in terms of hours, this game was well worth the purchase for me. Even returning to say goodbye to it one last time made me remember all the hours of fun I had on this motherfucker, and the frustration. And I can only hope that Mass Effect 4, or whatever the fuck BioWare is working on next, is able to deliver this kind of entertainment in the next part of their franchise. I had a blast playing this game. I had hours of fun playing it with friends or yelling at randoms, and I can say this is easily one of my most favorite games that I have played in all my years of playing video games. It's not the best game, but it's certainly one of the most longest entertaining games that I played, and deserved to have one of the longest videos when it comes to the Goodbye PlayStation 3 series. Now, speaking of the Goodbye PlayStation 3 series, I can't believe it, but it's finally here. There is only one more week left to go. That is right. 50 out of 55 games have been completed, which leaves me with the final week of games. Did I happen to save my best for last? Well, you're gonna have to wait 2 weeks to find out, because next week will be some of the last videos that I have in my vault that I need to complete. I have some hipfire commentaries that should have been done months ago. Oh man, I still haven't done those shits. And a couple of ghost videos that people want to see, and then I have some other random shit that I need to post. The final week of the Goodbye PlayStation 3 series is going to be posted in the exact week I said it would, the week before the release of Destiny. So by process of elimination, I'm sure you guys know what the 5 remaining videos will be. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you guys in the next video.